in the coffers.
So this is what the 3news.com says. It said the Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT faces the prospect of depleting its funds to meet future financial obligations to beneficiaries. According to an International Labour Organization report based on actuarial valuations, SSNIT reserves will be exhausted by 2036. In the past, SSNIT operated as a provident fund, providing coverage for accidents, old age, disability and death, as well as serving as an immigration support. According to ILO, total income, including contributions, investment income, and other income, will no longer be sufficient to pay for annual expenditures, including benefit payments to pensioners by 2029. Starting in 2029, there's a quote, total income, contributions, investment income, and other income is no longer sufficient to pay for annual expenditures. The reserve starts to decrease during the year 2036. The reserve drops to zero, the research emphasized. Now, with no alternative sources of payment, SSNIT will rely solely on its reserves to fulfill payments demand, marking the beginning of the depletion of processes. It's the ILO stress. The trend is expected to persist until 2036, as indicated in the valuation report, when the reserve is projected to reach zero. The reserve ratio, calculated as at the end of the year, reserve divided by the annual expenditures, declines from 3.4 to 0 from 2021 to 2036. This implies that the trust will be unable to pay pension benefits if there are no contributions, investment income, or other sources of revenue. And this is what part of the evaluation report says. But let's get into the evaluation report itself here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. If you go on the 3news.com, you will find the SSNIT story, and then embedded in the story is a link that takes you straight to the ILO's actuarial report on our stuff. So it's right there. This is scary, Helen. This is scary. This is really very scary.
It really is. Brings me back to what we were discussing during the news review before Johnny's Bite about some of the ventures that SSNIT has undertaken, and why, as a state, when it comes to doing business, it appears that we're not good at doing business. We're not good at spotting the viable, I suppose, avenues to rake in the money. But the persons that we put in these positions are people that have outshone in the private sector. They enter the public sector, and then all of that business acumen doesn't look too appetizing because of the outputs. What is so different? Why is the state not good at doing business? SSNIT has been making so many investments that are not really going anywhere. How do we enter that space and say, okay, now we have the technical know-how? Who can go in there and say, no, this is your business venture, EMFA. This one is the way to go. This is the way to go. That means moving forward, SSNIT has to be even more careful with the investments that they make. We can't go along that route. How do we get in there with the right expertise and move forward once and for all?
Because SSNIT is getting into hotel business, they're getting into hostel business, they're doing this, that. But I mean, how much is it fetching? Is that what we need at this point? And for me, I get very worried that there's a law backing this and saying that, look, you have to go in that direction. You have to pay. If you don't pay, the law will come for you. You know, SSNIT contributions. SSNIT has taken Gihok to court for non-payment of benefits. I'm sure they've taken many other people to court, and I know this as a private sector person as well. You know, involved in some businesses with some people. If they don't pay, they are taken to the Saturday court that SSNIT has. A Saturday court solely for SSNIT issues.
Right.
So how is it that you, the state, are holding people's feet to the fire, and you, the state, failing in your... I mean, this is unthinkable, that all your reserves will be depleted by a certain year and that you cannot pay pension benefits. I can't believe this.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it.
It's crazy. This morning, if you go on X, there's a manufactured hashtag, Ekufado Legacy, and you see all the bots have been deployed to go and amplify certain projects here, there, and there. And I'm thinking, if the citizens actually wake up this morning and see this hashtag, by no need to be corrupted with what they think the true state of affairs is, as far as the Ekufado government legacy really is. So this morning, Ghanaians are not happy, and you are giving us a hashtag Ekufado
and you know
legacy.
the premiums have been going up. The premiums that we're paying, they've been going up because we're always looking at what to tweak, what to put up there, what not to put up there, and it doesn't really add up to me. I can almost feel the frustration of somebody who has worked so hard will retire in 2029. Why we're in 2024, right?
That's right.
So if the person is 55 by 2029, it will be going home. Now we are told that by 2029 they cannot pay, and then it gets to 2036 where the thing will now be fully depleted. And this is the International Labour Organization telling us that this is what is going on.
That is scary.
So why did we have to wait for the ILO to come and tell us this? Couldn't our own SSNIT have organized a presser to tell us that, look, the way things are going, this is where we are going? Because we have a whole minister for labor relations and pensions, right?
That's right.
So Ignatius Bafewa, is he interested in this conversation? Where is he? Or he's just interested in people who go on strike and they have to negotiate with them not to go on strike?
He must be interested in this conversation, because if you
interested.
gauge the temperature on social media especially, people are asking then, what is the purpose of you deducting the money? They say from today, stop deducting my money. Let me find a useful or more fruitful venture for my future.
I can always put my money together. And if you look at, sometimes you look at your pay slip and you look at how much is being deducted in SSNIT, income tax, this tax, that tax, that tax, that. By the time your money gets to you, more than 40-45% is gone. By the time your money that you have worked for, you woke up every morning to go and look for, it's gone. The money is gone. And it's not funny at all.
It's not funny.
I am putting money down, to cushion my future. And now I'm being told that, by the time your future is due, no show.
If we don't see any, a reply to this particular news item, I'll be very shocked, because again, if you gauge the temperature on the ground, people are getting more and more and more despondent by the day. They're thinking, why should I even bother? That thing cast.
So part of the report, transitional arrangement, a contribution requirement. In the new scheme, the minimum number of months required to be eligible for receipt of an old age pension is reduced from 240 months in 2010 to 180 months in 2015, and later years as shown in table A15. Now this is what the table says. Year minimum number of months. In 2010 it was 240 months. 2011 it was 228 months. 2012 it was 216. 2013 was 204. 2014 was 192, and then in 2015 is 180. I guess that's what is still running through. Within 5 years after the commencement of Act 766, a member retires on attaining the age of 55 years and has contributed to the scheme for a period of less than 20 years but more than 180 months. The member is entitled to a reduced pension computed as under PNDC Law 247, Act 94, Article 94 1B, and Act 883. B. Benefits. Individuals who have previously contributed to PNDC, PNDCL 247 scheme and who were below age 50 as of January 1, 2010, joined the first tier of Act 766 scheme at that date and earned benefits in the normal way for their contributions to the tier. In addition, they will be awarded credits in respect of their previous contributions to the PNDC Law 247 scheme. These credits comprise two elements: a credit equal to the number of months contributions they paid to the PNDC Law scheme up to 31st December 2009, Section 94 1A, Act 766. These contributions count for pension in the same way as the future contributions to the first tier, that is broadly 75% of the benefits payable under PNDC Law 247 scheme. B. A credit in theory replacing the 25% lump sum that a member would have been able to receive under PNDC Law 247 scheme of the accumulation of 4% of the member's salary from the date of joining the scheme until 31st December 2009 plus the accumulated interest to date. Benefits are paid in the form of lump sum That's section 94(1)(d), Act 766. The past credit is to be computed using the government 91-day treasury bill rate compounded quarterly. In addition, the accumulated amount in the second tier account of the member will also be received, and those who are age 50 and over who joined the new scheme on January 1, 2010 and who qualify for a monthly pension or retirement are currently given lump sum credit based on the 247 PNDC law 247. So the lump sum conversation crano and the crano as I had that the bisano and Charlie, I be giving music to cool down. This one we can so move. We can also move. I mean, let's know what you think about this because
you read my mind exactly because what I was seeing online was not encouraging. So I do want us to test the pulse on the ground. The youth are saying that if my contributions cannot guarantee me a future, please allow me to find money. Yes, let me find an alternative to secure my future, please. Please, if it's not going in any fruitful venture, please let me know so I can make a decision for myself.
Okay, so now this is the actuarial opinion, like an auditor does an audit and he puts the auditor's opinion on it.
Right.
It says this report was prepared as requested under Article 53 of the National Pensions Act 2008, Act 766. In our opinion, the data on which this report is based are sufficient and reliable, although there are some aspects related to the reconciliation of the data and the mortality rates which creates some uncertainties. The assumptions used are individually and in aggregate reasonable and appropriate, and the methodology employed is appropriate and consistent with accepted actuarial practice. Based on the results of this valuation, we hereby certify that the SSNIT scheme is not financially sustainable over the 75-year period covered by the projections in this report. This means that in considering applicable financing rules and the future demographic and economic environment in which it will operate, the current assets of the SSNIT scheme, together with future contributions, will not be sufficient to pay all future benefits and administrative and operational expenses over the period covered by the projections in this report. This report does not consider any event nor additional information or data subsequent to 10th August 2023. This report has been prepared and our opinions given in accordance with internationally accepted actuarial practice as provided by the International Standards of Actuarial Practice to Financial Analysis of Social Security Programs. Let this ring a bell. And this was issued on the 31st of December 2023. Now, let this ring a bell. It says that based on the results of this valuation, we hereby certify that SSNIT scheme is not financially sustainable over the 75-year period covered by the projections in this report. This means that in considering applicable financing rules and the future demographic and economic environment in which it will operate, the current assets of SSNIT alone, together with future contributions, will not be sufficient to pay all future benefits and administrative and operational expenses over the period covered by the projections in this report. Just in the coming years, the operations of SSNIT and the benefits that they have to pay to people based on the contributions that they have made will not happen. It will not happen. Look, I know that you may have contributed to SSNIT or you may be a SSNIT contributor. Talk to me. 055-924-2717. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. And then just before they come in, so I have not seen SSNIT react to this? Now, there are other recommendations that they made. And they are recommending, for example, that there should be an increase in contribution rate in accordance with a funding policy. The thing that we cannot pay, that cannot pay us, we are now being told to increase how much we are contributing to it. Then there are other recommendations. For example, it says insurable earnings including only the basic salary and therefore exclude social allowances, which appear to be cost of living allowances as referred to in ILO Convention number 102 as social allowances, are part of the regular take-home pay of insured persons. It is recommended to include them in the insurable earnings used as a reference for the purpose of calculating contributions and benefits on a prospective basis. This new definition of insurable earnings will decrease the financial pressure on SSNIT in the short term. This means that two kinds of reference earnings would be used to calculate benefits. One, excluding the social allowance to calculate the pensions related to the years of contribution prior to the year in which social allowances have been included in the insurable earnings. And two, one, including the social allowances to calculate the pensions relating to the years of contributions after the year in which social allowances have been included in insurable earnings. Now, this is where I find it a bit tricky. SSNIT is supposed to be Social Security and National Insurance Trust. I'm supposed to trust it. It is supposed to ensure my social, my future. It's supposed to be social in character. It's supposed to secure me. And it's supposed to be of a national character. Question you ask is, do people feel secured knowing that they are contributing with SSNIT?
No.
Do people feel well insured? Because if by 2036, that is when I will be at my most vulnerable state, and I'm hoping that SSNIT will come through for me. I'm now being told that by 2036, the box will be empty, the coffers will be empty. So, possibility of paying me what is supposed to be paid me according to what we just read, if our understanding of the English is correct, unless there's some other understanding, will not be there.
That's right.
Now, you notice also that people know how much is being deducted on their behalf to pay SSNIT, right? For their SSNIT, for their future. But when you go into their tier 3, their private, their own individual conversations and that they have, they actually pay weightier money than what they are giving to SSNIT. Have you noticed that? So let's say somebody contributes maybe 150 cedis or 80 cedis or 100 cedis or 200 cedis to SSNIT every month. Right. Which is mandatory. Tier 1 and tier 2. Then maybe they do another maybe 80 or 100 cedis for tier 2. They are tier 3, which they themselves have the right to choose who to do for. Yeah. They decide that, okay, you give me this money, then they throw it in there. Yeah. So both put together is about 300, right? Some people can do 500
for their tier 3.
For their tier 3 because they have confidence in that. Yeah. They can see the money in real time. There are apps, they can follow the money, watch it the way it's going, and they can go for their money whenever they want to have their access to their money. Why should people not have that kind of confidence in SSNIT? Such that people will not ask for the basic salary rate, which will be used to calculate their SSNIT contributions, right? And their pensions. Yeah. But they will rather ask for allowances which are not captured by SSNIT. Why do people do that? Because they have lost confidence in the system.
That's right. And you are further deducting with no assurance of the future. That is only going to erode whatever trust and confidence that we had in SSNIT. I said just monitor the socials. Just monitor the socials and see how the youth are feeling this morning, hearing this news.
And we are going to paint school buildings, right?
Yeah.
And change school uniforms.
Yeah.
Wow. We are special, are we not?
I think our priorities must.
It's not. Our priority is procurement. Our priority is procurement.
Somebody's gig is baked, hot and fresh.
So I'm just checking the hashtag SSNIT. Now, this is on TV3 Ghana on Twitter. It says SSNIT reserves to be depleted by 2023. Government must not manage the scheme. Organized labor must protest the deductions by employees. Austin Gami is a labor expert, and that's what he says. I mean, if you're a member of organized labor, you will not be happy at all that this is happening. Mr. Paris says political parties, including my beloved NDC, in my opinion, must have the political resolve to break the monopoly SSNIT enjoys over our Tier 1 pension fund. SSNIT has gradually become a criminal entity, robbing the good people of this country of their future funds. That's what he thinks. And he shares a 3news.com screenshot. He shared it about an hour ago. Okay, some of them, they are very, very fruity language, so you have to be very careful if you're going through them. What do you have? Do you have any there?
I do indeed. Ghana Law Trends put up a poll about the SSNIT payments and whether or not they should be made optional. So they put the categories as yes, no, or abolish the entire scheme. Hundreds of people voted on that. 59% say yes, the SSNIT payment should be optional. 17% still have faith in the scheme, and 24% said abolish the entire scheme. Abolish it, abolish it, abolish it.
So Julius Aqua on Twitter also says that sorry. It says politicians see SSNIT as their own piggy bank that they keep digging into. This is immoral, illegal, and should be grounds for dismissal. Government should not be allowed anywhere near people's money. That's what Julius Aqua on Twitter says. Another Abamina says, if this SSNIT people are saying they can't pay again from 2036, then companies should stop deducting SSNIT from our salaries. Why would we keep paying if it's when we won't be benefiting from it? And that's a legitimate question. And Obi says, Olele DTS says, I know a middle class earning friend who believed in Ghana so much, not even his diaspora baby could convince him to relocate. They got married. Today he has folded. Why? The SSNIT news broke him.
I saw that one. A lot of people commented on that particular tweet. Abamina says, if SSNIT are saying they can't pay from 2036, then companies should stop deducting SSNIT from our salaries. Why would we keep paying it when we will not benefit from it? Yes.
Kweku on Twitter says, according to the International Labour Organization, SSNIT will not be able to pay your pension 12 years from now. Per their projections, if you are below 48 years, you will receive no benefits upon retirement. And he says it's dire. Another says, well, Kwame Atuampoma says, looks like this has been the state of SSNIT for years now. The problem is that this government has not been able to turn things around. Is there any hope for the future? He tags Dr. Balmia, tags John Mahama, tags Bright Simmons, and tags Kufuado.
This one is really breaking my heart, and it's as Munta Rashadi says, we all had strong sentiments and absolute love for this country, but unfortunately we are folding. Some have already folded. It's sad that we have to look elsewhere to realize our aspirations.
Okponglo Jason Tatum says, at this rate, would it be worth it for employers or employees to still be paying SSNIT? And that's the big question on the minds of many people, is asking, at this point, is it still relevant to pay? Mary N says, it is time to make SSNIT contributions optional. One should decide whether to contribute or not. Moreover, if one decides to contribute, the person should decide the amount he or she wants to contribute monthly. Imagine working for 30 to 40 years and at the end you don't get your money. That is the sad. Tick Post says, Ghanaians love political parties more than their country's welfare. Kofi Kinata is saying that, and he's quoting Kofi Kinata. I'm sure he's talking about the SSNIT because the hashtag is there as well, SSNIT. And Julius Aqua come again. It says, SSNIT should be taken out of the hands of government immediately. They will cripple it with their corruption and theft. Someone will spend over 35 years contributing to SSNIT and probably will not see any penny because an individual was incompetent. And Angel Torpedo says, our future is in jeopardy. CD in gutters. SSNIT says their reserves is depleting and won't be able to pay benefits by 2036. Power crisis, poor healthcare, MPs lying about projects, stalled projects across the country, unemployment, galamsey, creative industry collapsing, nurses running away, mismanagement in every sector. How are our leaders able to sleep at night amidst all these problems? We need to rise, Charlie. Arise, Ghana youth. Let's put our future first and fight for it. Edidi da yesing, edidi preko. Wise up, rise up.
Mojo Jojo says, so the SSNIT thing, it be true. Mojo Jojo, yes, please. Well, that's what we're being told. He wants to know, is it really true, what we're being told? Is that really the state of affairs? Somebody's asking, Lord Pepper, should we privatize SSNIT too? That's a question we should be thinking of. And a lot more of you are awake this morning. You have caught on to the news and you are so unhappy. Beggarfield says, do you know how wild it is to have paid your SSNIT contributions for decades, only to retire and find out they won't be able to pay your monthly allowance?
Kofi Japan says institutions like SSNIT and GRA should have its heads being voted into power, and he doesn't want the appointment. He once said, Kofi Mojo is on my Mojo Jojo is on my thing. He says, so there's nothing be true.
He wants to know.
He shock him. Collins Nunya Amejo says, why do we pay SSNIT? 2. Is this a strategy to shortchange beneficiaries? 3. What did SSNIT use the monies for, and why are they in this situation? 3 legitimate questions that have been asked. And Otono Techibana says, SSNIT have been publishing their actuarial reports on their website for years now. The message has been the same. The scheme is not financially stable. Just a be old story. We the polish and make them new. A lot of
ex-users also talking about haircuts.
Serendipity says, SSNIT one show we shaggy.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
SSNIT one show we shaggy. And Beggarfield Moment says, do you know how wild this to have paid your SSNIT contributions for decades only to retire and find out that they won't be able to pay your monthly allowance? Let's Talk Business says, this is the visual representation of how your SSNIT contributions, which is supposed to pay you back is in your pension, have performed on an average between 2017 and 2021. Under this government, SSNIT returns on contributions have just been 12.48%. T-bills have never gone under 15%. So that's what he's talking about. Nana Kofi Owusu Echao says, the SSNIT news, dear, I no won't even think about.
Oh, Charlie.
The SSNIT news, dear, I no won't even think about. Somebody says, Yogo says, if you are not a fraudster, not a politician, not a pastor, leave this country called Ghana. The next leadership is also polluted as the current one. Aside this, look at the plan SSNIT has for you and how the current pensioners are suffering. He's not happy. Mipuri says, so in 12 years, SSNIT will be unable to pay retirement benefits. Coming from ILO, Parliament must get to the bottom of this issue. Executive directors need to provide answers, and answers are what we need. Kweku Edubofor says, I don't know why I feel the SSNIT news is somehow not making enough headlines. No pension for funds people who will likely retire in the next 12 years. How much you who has contributed for only 10 years? Whoa, and that's some serious one there. Olele DTS says, see, okay, I've read this one already. Olele's friend was the one who refused to travel outside, and now
yes, somebody said don't fold and see in the comments there. Oh, Charlie.
Somebody says, and SSNIT is compulsory. He laughs.
It's crazy, as you're seeing on the socials. Look at how the young people feel.
Pumba says, Pumba on Twitter says, is there an international organization that we can pay social security money to so that we get it when we go on retirement instead of paying to SSNIT? He doesn't have trust in the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, so he wants to pay to somebody outside. Mr. Sabia says, in 12 years, SSNIT won't be able to pay your pensions according to the ILO. According to their estimates, you won't get any benefits when you retire if you are younger than 48 years. Interesting times ahead. Wow. So depressing.
Really?
So depressing.
Really.
sunrise.
What do you think? 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. What do you think? Good morning.
Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Johnny, hey, money, hey,
Money.
Look, Johnny, in fact, I have been following this story on both your end and then Joy FM.
Right.
And look, sometimes you ask yourself, look, what is wrong with it? Is it a mental problem? Or is it? Look, I just understand. Look, there are kids who learn under trees. Some sit on the bare floor. Look, some even have tables and chairs to sit on and learn.
Yes.
And all you could think of as a sensible human being with brains is to paint and change uniforms. Are we stupid as a people? Are we dumb in the head? What is wrong with me? Must we always insult elders and leaders? Can they see? Can they open their eyes? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? I told you some time ago that when I go to cock a junior wole or favor motor. And that's what we are happy to see.
It's sad, eh?
The corrected monkey will forever be a monkey. We lack common sense in this country. God bless Ghana.
Bless you. Good morning.
Johnny.
Yes, sir, Papa.
Misuse of hard-earned taxpayers' money.
You be serious, oh?
Very serious. See, SSNIT unable to what? Is that depletion? Is that not it?
Yeah.
But they misuse the cash. Unnecessary flying there, buffing, I get to my point. Unnecessary national capital sort of thing. Because all this cash goes to one city, is that not it? And we have to distribute them.
That's
but
right.
when you misuse it, what happens? And now I'm hearing of this uniform aspect. Yeah, will be true. And going up, no, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
A grown-up person like you, tell us that we parents that fight top for basic schools better than this. Does it know the number of people who cannot even get soap to bath in the morning? And now you are trying to say that they should look for soap to be washing white uniforms every day? What sort of nonsense is this? Johnny, does it make sense?
Okay, Papa.
It is the wisdom of previous governments or past governments that they have to use this colored sort of thing so that it can absorb death. And you're talking about one thing to beautify something. What's that?
Okay, Papa.
You have to stop.
Thank you very much. Grateful.
We need to demonstrate against this government.
Grateful.
They have to take too much on the job.
Thank you.
Nonsense is this.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Common sense.
How are you?
Johnny, do you remember I asked Sigbefia this question? And do you remember the answer he gave? The future is pregnant.
It is.
Johnny, I think there's an expert called Egaridu.
Yes,
Try
Edgar.
and call him and find out.
Insurance person.
Yes, because all that you read, some of us, is confusing for us because the experience is what we have seen and we sometimes ask the question. I asked Sigbefia that they, the politicians, when they retire and they even die, their children even benefit. But those of us, the common man who work on the street, they are always suffering, and how much more our children? And do you remember the answer I gave? Johnny, do you remember the answer I gave? I'm begging you, call the garage so that he explains some of the reading, because reading plenty, 15, 10, Charlie, is very confusing.
Right.
I beg you.
I hear you.
Thank you.
I hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Kwame from Newtown.
El Kwame, talk to me.
Yes, I still want to talk of my light issue at Kaswa because I'm getting depressed. Day by day, I'm getting depressed. I have to pay 11 workers. and by 8 o'clock in the morning, light is off, sometimes 5 o'clock. I don't know what is happening. I listened to two personalities this week. One of them is called some Chibu Daku, Dr. Chibu Daku also. I listened to Kofi Kapito as well. Then I asked myself, those of us who went to technical school and proceed to the universities, either we are far better than those who just read book and went to the universities and acquired these titles called doctors and academians or so, something like that. Chibu Daku's argument yesterday on one of your sister stations is that if they publish a timetable, Ghanaians will know it's going to last for more than 1 year. So that is the reason why the minister and the government is not willing to publish any timetable.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm coming. Just a minute.
Okay.
Kofi Kapito also said if they publish a timetable and they have power, how are they going to go about that? And I feel very insulted. Can't they suspend it? We are not fools. We are more intelligent than this idiot. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're live on air. Talk to me. What's your name and location, please?
My name is Mefa. I'm talking from Koforidua.
All right. Okay.
These people, I just want to ask them one question. What at all is their problem? Because they have destroyed everything. Yesterday, I was so surprised when the two ladies came to your studio. The NPP lady was talking. And I was asking myself, is she talking about the same government in power or I am living in a different planet? Johnny, how far is on the street? We have very old leaders who we thought had experience and competence because that was their song. Only for them to come and they are intellectually bankrupt. And the next issue is just killing. Have a nice day.
055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Johnny, let me surprise you.
Surprise me.
I attended Fantech, and 2019 we used a new block. A new block. And I offered welding and fabrication.
Right.
But you know right now I am a house help.
Oh, why?
Yes. I mean, what else could I do? My dad is not having the money to take me to universities. What else could I do?
Oh, Charlie.
Somebody who dealt with metals, now a house help, nothing with metals. You understand? And my junior brother carries chairs to school every morning.
Just to go and learn?
Just to go and learn. And now they are telling us that they are going to paint schools.
And change uniform.
Johnny, good morning.
Charlie,
have a great day.
What is good about this morning? Oh, boy. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. This whole SSNIT issue. What do you think about it? Good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
I think it's time for workers of this country. The whole nation should rise up against this government. I think what is going on, I don't think they think about this country again. All of us they think about themselves. Talk about SSNIT issue. Look at this, how serious this issue is. Concerning the aged person who have worked for this person, this country, and the time for them to get their money, they cannot get anything. What is it? And then when I listen to people who are very close to that some of their hotels have the politicians are trying to buy them, and they are watching. They are waiting to see those who will come out to buy these hotels for themselves. What is it? All government state institutions are running a loss in this country under this current president. Come on, I think Ghanaians
we've rather learned a bitter lesson. It's time for us to make sure this nation come back to where it belongs to. We need the right people to govern this nation, not to dictate to Ghanaians.
All right. Thank you very much, Kosami. We're grateful. Let's now speak with a labor expert, Seth Abloswis, joins us on the phone line now. Seth, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Johnny. Thank you for having me.
Well, Twitter, social media, mainline media, we have all been worried about this ILO actuarial report on SSNIT. And one striking thing is the 2036 deadline that SSNIT will not be able to honor its contributions and payments and et cetera. What really does it mean?
It means SSNIT has not been managed to the expectation of its membership. And it's clear there is too much political interference in the management of SSNIT. Only recently,
right,
a director general was given the marching order. The tone of the letter that asked him to go home clearly indicates that something was terribly wrong. And that then will forever haunt him and his credibility. But we were then told quickly that he has done nothing wrong. But the letter that sent him home, first paragraph made reference to appointment letter by the Public Services Commission. But in announcing the replacement, we didn't see the Public Services Commission involved. Because after him, we should have had an acting director general.
Right.
And then advertisement should have been placed where persons which will be shortlisted and persons invited for interview, persons qualified and available will be invited for interview and appointed by the Public Service Commission the same way Dr. Farid Tinkwan's appointment letter said. But we pushed in a deputy director general who, not too long ago, was signing papers for a certain Ejapa project, even whilst he was deputy director general, and hasn't resigned from SSNIT. So political interference has been the bane of SSNIT.
Should the Labour Front be disturbed by this news?
Oh, more than disturbed. More than disturbed, because you see, when TUC changed its motto from brotherhood to family of workers, my understanding of that was that the TUC leadership under Kwesi Amankwa recognized that there can be no former members of a family. So even when you go on pension, your interests and concerns should be the concern of leadership in place after you have left. Because these problems we are having with these revelations, these worrying revelations, have also been cited before. In 2001, there was a forensic audit of SSNIT. Forensic audit of SSNIT commissioned by Honorable Yaosapo Mafo, then Finance Minister, 2001. And it was conducted by Deloitte and Touche, Worldwide Investment, and other consultants. Damning revelations, very worrying revelations. And the report recommended prosecution. We didn't see any prosecution. But the Serious Fraud Office then, at that time also, did a forensic audit on SSNIT. In fact, in October 2000, Honorable Odoi Sykes, then chairman of NPP, addressed the press conference,
right,
where he declared that should the MPP win, they were going to have a parliamentary investigation into SSNIT. And the media report said, with Odoisai at the press conference was Nana Akufo-Addo, a leading member of the NPP. Fortunately, the NPP won the 2000 elections. 2001, Nana Akufo-Addo was Attorney General. And in fact, one point that they made against the serious fraud office was that it reports to the Attorney General, who will do nothing because it's a government appointee. Nana Akufo-Addo was appointed Attorney General. The serious fraud office report was sent to the Attorney General. And true to his word, he did nothing. No prosecutions were done. Same with the forensic audit of SSNIT by Deloitte and Touche and others. So these worrying revelations are available. But fortunately for us, crime has no expiry date. And persons who think they can chop workers' monies and push them into poverty need to be taught a lesson so that SSNIT monies become a no-go area.
I see. Mr. Blosso, there are those who have also suggested that the leadership of institutions like SSNIT and GRA should be elected by the people, or maybe a special body set aside to properly interview them, look at their credentials, their expertise, and their experience before getting them into those positions of authority, as opposed to having them becoming political appendages who are appointed by the government or the leader of the day. What do you think?
No, clearly we must have a change. And the Public Services Commission presents a solution, in my humble opinion, where advertisements will be put out, and I was saying let's have persons who are qualified and available. There are many who are qualified who may not want to go there. But let's have persons who are qualified and available to apply and be shortlisted and interviewed. Electing persons will not be in our best interest.
Right.
Yes, electing persons would have.
What do you say to those who also say, can we stop making SSNIT mandatory so that we can at least make it voluntary? People can then make a decision as to where to place their monies and how much they want to save for their future. Because if this has been made mandatory and they still are not seeing the head and tail of what's going on, then really, what's the essence?
I'll advise continued mandatory contributions. Because you see, that is where the state comes in. The state has a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that SSNIT works and works well. Because if you make it voluntary, and people unfortunately get their contributions or investments messed up, they become a liability on the state. So the state needs to be properly positioned to ensure that mandatory contributions are adhered to. And that is why SSNIT has the obligation to even prosecute private companies who default in payment.
Right, the Saturday courts.
And government must sit up and decide its obligation as well. Monthly obligation must be promptly contributed, even as they pay salaries.
Is it a question of the contributions not coming, or SSNIT making investments that are not really viable to give us the dividends we're looking for?
One problem is the investment that SSNIT makes. SSNIT investments are too politically influenced. And that is a worry that the board, and you see, we used to have board of directors But after the reforms, we have board of trustees. And there's a lot of obligation on board of trustees to be a trustee. To be a trustee. And Honorable B.J. Darocha wrote in a paper published by the Institute of Economic Affairs, where, if I recall, he said, workers need to be interminably reminded that the money in SSNIT is theirs. And therefore, they should wake up to the obligation of ensuring that it is properly managed. And that government interference is checked.
Ms. Abulusu, you look then at SSNIT, and as of 2017, there was a $72 million software that had become talk of town. I mean, if an organization can spend $72 million of contributors' money to procure software that really did not add any value to the work that SSNIT does on behalf of contributors, and then now contributors wake up one morning, there's an actuarial report that says by 2036 we are unable to honor obligations to you, people certainly will think that, well, their monies are being thrown away. Yes?
Yes, that will be a right conclusion to make, because the money keeps coming in anyway. So if it's not prudently managed, these are some of the things that will happen. But let me quickly add that we are not contributors to the scheme. We are members of the scheme.
Members of the scheme, right?
Yes. And we have membership obligations. The contribution is an obligation of membership. But let nobody accept being referred to as contributor.
But Ms. Ablosi, if that's be the case, then SSNIT should be contacting us and conferring with us on every step they make. Exactly. I remember during COVID-19 era, for example, SSNIT made some donations to the NHIS fund without a word to contributors and members.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many others.
Wrong payment, because one of the things B.J. Darocha, whom I hold in very high esteem, said is that government has no business. SSNIT has no business complementing government effort. Sometimes what they do with these donations, etc., is that they are complementing government effort. If you look through publications, you see plenty of them complementing government effort. B.J. Darocha says SSNIT has no obligation whatsoever complementing government effort.
Right.
So those monies towards COVID itself were misdirected, because the state needs to budget and make prudent financial decisions on the nation's resources. For instance, we ran to IMF. How much are we looking for? 3 billion. And they are asking us to do haircut. The president told us in the sense that there shall be no haircut. But we suffered exactly the opposite. Now, if you are looking for money that demands that you disturb pensioners, older persons in your society, what you do is that you reduce the amount you are looking for in the hope that you can do adjustments which will not require the pain that you exert on older persons and on pension funds.
So, forward march, what do we do now that the citizens know, members of SSNIT and contributors know what is going on? They have read the reports, they are startled, some are underwhelmed, some are overwhelmed. What do we do? What should the state be doing? What should SSNIT be doing? And what should the citizens who are members and contributors be doing?
Yeah. SSNIT needs to report to members annually. There is a large pool of membership. SSNIT cannot report. You cannot assemble all members and report to them. But we can have an arrangement where SSNIT can report and the report be discussed. But above all, it's labor leaders who have the obligation. In fact, not only labor leaders, employers as well. Because no employer will be happy seeing his former employee on the streets as a pauper. So employers and labor leaders need to wake up to their obligation to members of SSNIT. And labor leaders need to ensure that persons they appoint onto the board of trustees or to the pensions regulatory authority are persons of integrity, and that there is proper consultation, verifiable consultation where records are available of how persons are chosen. There doesn't appear to be any at this time.
Mr. Ablosu, I thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful that you could join us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great. That's Mr. Seth Ablosu. He is a labor consultant. He joined us here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Two quick